America's Mayor Live. And here we are in Manchester, New Hampshire. And we're very much taken up with the spirit they have here in New Hampshire about the primary. You'd be surprised, but it's very much active. Hard to believe when you think about, let me think now, the primary. Ted, is the primary a year and a half from now? Maria? Dr. Maria?
The primary is just a few months away, right?
No,
no.
The primary.
The first primary is in New Hampshire, right?
Oh, yes. The primary is half a year away.
So the New Hampshire primary is the end of January,
right.
beginning
half
of
a year.
February.
The election is a year and a half away.
The convention?
The actual election.
Oh yeah, the election is now.
The election is a year and a half. The primary is going to be either in late January, early February.
Yes,
it's going to be it's going to come a week after Iowa. Iowa will, as it always has been, be the first caucus, first in the nation caucus. But Iowa will be the first actual vote in the nation for the Republicans. It will be for the Democrats too. Largely thanks to Robert Kennedy Jr. because Biden didn't file. So Biden's not even going to be a candidate in this primary, which means this is a primary right now, unless things change. This is a primary between Robert Kennedy Jr. and Ms. Williamson. And it's very, very interesting. Before we get to the Republican side of it, we talk about the Democrat side because a lot of the news people are ignoring the Democrat primary so that Robert Kennedy Jr. gets no attention. They're doing to him. They're doing to him a modest version of what they did to Trump. And of course, they're trying to sully his reputation as much as possible. If you listen to them, he's some kind of a psycho out of a psycho ward. And when in fact, he has written probably the best single book written on the pandemic yet, scientists notwithstanding. Not only is it the best, it's the most accurate in the sense of, or at least I can't say it's the most accurate. I'm not a scientist. What I can say is it's the most documented, so that whatever it is that he says, he's got it backed up by footnotes. You can go look. You can see if you agree with his source, which says a lot. In comparison to usual Democrats who usually just write out straight out and out lies, and they can't have footnotes because there is no support. Essentially, everything they said about me is a lie. Every single thing.
So, Mr. Mayor, the Iowa caucus is January 22nd of 2024. The New Hampshire primary is Tuesday, January 30th, 2024.
Iowa is when again? I didn't hear that first part.
January 22nd.
Oh, okay. I say January 22nd will be the Iowa caucuses, and then on the 1st or 2nd,
January 30th.
on January 30th.
Is New Hampshire's primary.
So it'll be before the Super Bowl. It'll be before the next Super Bowl, that's for sure.
February 6th is Nevada, and February 24th is South Carolina. For Republicans.
Yeah. And I think that's true for but the Democrats throw in an earlier one. What do they have first?
Well, all I can see on this is that they're doing their South Carolina March 2nd.
That's their first one?
Yeah, which is after the Republican one. So I don't get that.
They're going to cost people a lot of money. That one is intended for Biden because that's the first one he won last time. Remember, Biden. Just think of what cheats they are. Biden lost Iowa. Biden lost New Hampshire. Yeah. So what did they do? They cut them out. Yeah. Oh, but they didn't cheat in the election. No. They cut it out afterwards.
So South Carolina
what kind
now.
Of crybabies cut out elections, they lose. I mean, if I recall correctly, Trump lost Iowa last time. He hasn't cut it. He's in Iowa right now.
And New Hampshire primary is a 120-year, precedent.
And this is from Dr. Maria, who is I would say a person who has a fair amount of affection for New Hampshire. I think she's madly in love with New Hampshire. So, we're going to show you later. We neglected last night. I had it on my radio show yesterday afternoon because it happened. It happened just when the show was breaking. And so we had it on the radio show, but not the film of it. We should have shown the film of the Great Fall. Now I have a theory about it. Now he says that he slipped over a sandbag and he was sandbagged. No one. Well, I don't. Are we showing it now, Ted?
We will be in a moment.
Okay, because I see it up on the screen there.
Yeah, I'm downloading. It's uploading as
Well,
we speak.
It doesn't look to me. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm not an expert, of course. It doesn't look to me like he tripped at all. It looked to me like he took a step and his leg gave out. And having a bad knee, I can appreciate that and understand it. But it doesn't look like he was walking forward and he tripped. You see, that leg isn't moving forward. When you see him go down, you don't see the leg moving. It isn't in the course of the leg moving forward. In any event, he says there was a sandbag. I say there's something else happened. Right beforehand, somebody came up to him and told him this headline. Hunter laptop online with the photos. 10,000. I don't know if I should give him advertisement. BidenLaptopMedia.com has 10,000 photos. And this would include, without any doubt, photos that I didn't have, because we didn't have 10,000. We had a lot. I'm going to say 2 or 3, but we didn't have 10,000. So these are photos. These are photos other than ones that I had. It looks like they kept out the photos of the sister-in-law, which is nice. I'm glad they did. I kept out all the photos. I made a version of it once I realized there were really insensitive pornographic. By that I mean ones that are on the margin of child porn, and in one case, or at least maybe 2, go over the line. We made up a second version, which we gave out, only gave the first one to law enforcement. And so if they have our photos, there could have been a few sources they got them from. But they must have an awful lot of other photos that we didn't have, because we didn't have 10,000. I can be sure of that. Unless they were just repeated. I mean, sometimes people have the same picture on several computers. Now, remember, he lost, that we know of, 3 computers. So when you talk about the John Mac Isaacs hard drive and computer, for which that man was deposed yesterday, ridiculous thing, just pure vindictive nature of an extraordinarily perverted and mean family. By that I mean the Biden family.
We have the video already,
now
Mayor.
let's watch our president, who almost, by the way, fell into the arms of, I think it was the Prime Minister of Japan a few weeks ago, in which he could have probably ended the United States' preeminence as a world power. Imagine the President of the United States goes to greet the head of state at a major international forum, falls on his face, smashes his face up, and cracks his brain open, which is exactly what could happen if you fall. You're just lucky if it doesn't. That almost happened in Japan. I don't know what number of falls that was. Now, if this were one single fall, we wouldn't be even playing it for you. But this is now getting to be repetitious. Let's play it.
Wing, 10 shot. Mr. President, thank you for joining us today.
You want to play it again?
Yeah, I'd like to play it one more time. I want to show them.
Wing, Tenchut. Mr. President, thank you for joining us today.
As you can imagine, that went viral, except in the newspapers and media in the United States, which is subjected to heavy censorship, as you know. This is a point, by the way, made very, very strongly today in New Hampshire by Robert Kennedy Jr., talking about the well-known and extensive censorship within the Democrat Party, meaning the conspiracy between the Democrat Party, the major newspapers, the major networks, the major cable networks, and of course the social media, excluding Twitter. We now have chapter and verse of the meetings between the administration and all of them in cutting off the hard drive, which was the single probably biggest piece of evidence of presidential criminality in American history. Now pieces of which are emerging. But you look at that and you say to yourself, how much longer is this going to go on? Now let's just do a what if, because like a shooting is by and large a murder where the assailant missed, right? Unless the person aimed just to disable, which is a very dangerous thing to do, because just like you can miss when you aim to kill, you can miss when you aim to disable and kill. But in any event, when you fall, anytime over the age of, Dr. Maria, if I said 70, would I be right? There's a point at which falling becomes, of course, falling is always dangerous. A child can get hurt falling, but since children mend so quickly, it's a different thing. But over a certain age, falling gets dangerous, and then it becomes like almost fatal. I think we all know this from our families. I mean, I lost an uncle this way. I often tell you, my hero uncle, I lost him this way in marvelous physical condition, great mental condition, another 10 years easily, and he fell down the stairs and he broke his back. And he was immobile completely and everything fell apart. You know that. You have that story in your family. I'm sure the doctor has experiences this often. 75 and over, would you say it would be? Depending on the physical condition. So someone as frail looking as Biden is going to have more problems than someone more hardy looking, let's say like Trump. Right. Okay. Someone who plays golf every day and somehow looks
Biden rides a bicycle
and falls down. Now, does he ride a bicycle? Other than that, I mean, do we really know he rides a bicycle? I mean, the one time I saw him ride a bicycle, he fell over like a jackass. I mean, yeah, he rides a bicycle on the ground. He is literally the only person I have ever seen. He's the only person I have ever seen who has fallen going up the stairs. Everybody trips one time or another going down the stairs, I think, right? Or it's likely to. It can happen. Have you ever seen anybody trip going up the stairs? Think about it, ladies and gentlemen, and call us. Give the number out, Ted. Call us if you know of someone who's tripped going up the steps.
The youngster who's here says she fell up going up the stairs.
But how old were you? 2? You're probably a baby. How old?
Last school year.
Oh, last school year. All right. Okay. Well, I'll withdraw the comment. Biden got off the hook on that one. He got off the hook on that one. But she doesn't talk to dead people. Biden does. Well, now we get to this document that fascinates me because there have been 2 different leaks involving me. One of them is that I supplied it. One of them is that I supplied one version of it. Not both. That there was a version supplied by me and then a version supplied by someone else. I'm confused about it because I know this is going to be hard to believe, when you say to me a document involving bribery and Biden and Ukraine, wow. I could pick the wrong document, but whether this is one I supplied or the information is incorrect, I don't know. But I sure as hell did supply documents showing a wide range of bribery by Biden, a lot more than one. And the amount of money involved is a mere fraction of the bribery money that Biden and his family took. So if this does appear, and it is valid, I would have to say, whether I supplied it or not, it's the tip of the iceberg. Which is why it's extraordinary the FBI is fighting over it. They're in possession of a massive amount of evidence of Biden bribery. All you need to do is go back to my first 5 or 6 podcasts, and you can see the paper. I don't think you'd see this one because this one was turned in. They say, I'm not talking about my recollection. I won't give you that. I don't know if it's sensitive, not sensitive. All I can tell you is, answer is yes, I did supply them with documents showing Biden bribery, stone cold, meaning from a prosecutor's point of view, prosecutable documents, easy to authenticate, clearly authenticated as the Hunter Biden hard drive. Remember, I was right about that after 16 months being accused of being a liar.
You're right about everything, Mayor.
You know, it's true. And the reality is, I wish people would recognize that I've been telling the truth about this. And it's not because I'm anything special. I'm just like you are. I'm honest. They're crooks. I'm honest. I have no reason to supply anything that isn't true. I was defending Donald Trump because he was innocent. I didn't have to make anything up to defend him against a charge you now all know is false. There isn't anyone in the world who doesn't know that the charge against him was false and created by the crooked, unpatriotic, treasonous Democratic Party. Why do I say treasonous? Because they were using a concocted false story to depose an acting president of the United States. And they're walking around free as a bird. And they're talking about prosecuting President Trump over some debate over a document that it seems to me has no relevance at all. I mean, there's nothing dangerous about the document if it's a document about his considering attacking Iran. We know he considered attacking Iran. We even know the reason he didn't do it. It's all public. What a bunch of bull. And they've got, I'll tell you a document I can tell you about, and you can go and look at it. It's a document in which 14 point something million dollars was being laundered by the crooked Burisma company, for which Hunter Biden worked. Devin Archer, his partner, worked. The head of that company was the most crooked man in Ukraine, Mykola Zlochevsky, and Hunter's employer, and the guy who supplied the bribe money to Joe Biden. So that company, in addition to the amount of money that was paid on the record, which we know amounts to about $5 to $6 million to the Biden crime family, was paying money under the table. They are caught on one occasion. I remember exactly the month. I don't have the date, but I remember exactly the month. It was the month of February of 2016. It's 14 point something million, 3.2 million of which goes across the Atlantic to the Bidens, of which a portion goes to Joe. And there's a notation about the amount that goes to Joe, who at the time was the sitting vice president of the United States. That's a piece of paper, one piece of paper that could convict you just from that piece of paper, as long as you authenticate it, because it's an official government document. It's a document that goes from Latvia to Ukraine, explaining to the Ukrainians the criminal activity of Hunter Biden. And in it, and in the document, you find the notation about Joe Biden. Now, that document was available to the FBI, at least from my knowledge, my giving it to them since January of 2020. It was available to the State Department since March of 2019 or April of 2019. The government at no time has ever done anything with that document. As far as I know, it's never even validated it. And it certainly never investigated anyone, moved forward with it. What I'm telling you is they got a pile of documents like that, bigger, which the only people who wouldn't investigate it would be crooked investigators, dishonest, crooked, treasonous investigators, because it involves acts against the national security interest of the United States as well. How can we have a president that got all this money from China? And how can we have a group of politicians in this country that are so asleep that they don't demand an answer to what that money was for? Do you realize how the rest of the world must think we're fools? We have a president sitting in the White House that everyone knows got millions from China. He hasn't been asked. Why? Well, he says, I never got the money. His son says he did. His son says he got half of it in a text when he didn't know anybody was watching, looking, or listening, to his daughter under very credible circumstances. Without a doubt would hold up in a court of law. It'd be a very powerful piece of admissible evidence called an admission, which is an exception to the hearsay rule. So everybody knows this. Don't imagine if China had somebody in charge of the government that got $31 million from America. What do you think China would do? Would they listen to him and say, well, I didn't know what my son was doing? Oh, but your son says you did. Oh, but there were 100 pictures of you with the people that your son was getting bribes from. Oh, there are documents that show money going to you. Yeah, but I still didn't know. Oh, but there's a tape recording in which you discuss it with your son. How can you say you didn't know when you discuss it with him on tape? It's on Rudy Giuliani's podcast. We all can hear it. He's played it 10 times. How can you tell us you didn't know when you're on the telephone recorded talking to your son about his foreign dealings? Imagine China keeping him as the head of China. The reason the Chinese could displace us as the most powerful country in the world is because they're smarter than we are, tougher, more focused on what's in the interest of that country than we are. Could that be? But you just ask yourself, why is it that we allow this? I mean, Republicans shouldn't let a day go past in which they don't demand that he explain it's exactly how he sold himself out to China. Who complained when he gave up the Bagram Air Base? Me. How about the Republicans? President Trump has brought it up, but all these guys investigating him, they're not concerned about the fact that we gave up an air base 400 miles from China. And now I read that we are begging, borrowing, and stealing to get a base 1,000 miles from China. We don't see a connection between a totally unexplainable act like that by an American president and the fact that that American president and his family got an excess of $30 million from that country and is lying about it. And we let it go on. We just let it go on. Our founding fathers, as well as many patriotic American scholars, have said that America will not be defeated by a foreign power. America will defeat itself. We're doing that. And we better wake up. We better wake up. Now, before we get to your questions, which we will do quickly, I would like to attack something different, the baseball team, really viciously. It's called the Los Angeles Dodgers, because the Los Angeles Dodgers, come this June 16th, are going to have a pride demonstration, a pride night, which they have had for 10 years. And I and perfectly comfortable with that, and applaud them for having a pride night, celebrating gays and lesbians. There is an article, an excellent article in the Wall Street Journal by a gentleman who's gay, who says, "I wonder why we have to have a night celebrating gays and lesbians. We don't have a night celebrating heterosexuals. That was one thing when we were being persecuted and we had to get our rights, but now we have the right to marry. We have rights. Why don't we just kind of settle in and just be part of one of the great American achievements?" Oh, that's okay. I think that's a debate you can have, whether to have a pride night, not have a pride night. I know one thing you shouldn't do. You shouldn't be trying to undermine the healthy development of American children. And anybody who does that should be, well, if it's not a violation of the law, ostracized. And if it is, he should be thrown in jail. Well, there's a group that's going to participate that has nothing to do with gay and lesbian. It's a transgender group. Now, the LGBTQ plus community, some of it has been hijacked by the transgender, pedophilia, all that group, the Marxists, and they're running the agenda. There's no reason for the people to celebrate being transgendered. It's not something to celebrate. It's not something to attack. It's something to deal with in as healthy a way as possible, given the questions about, is it a function of mental illness? Isn't it a function of mental illness? Don't try to change science. Don't try to, in order to embrace it and deal with it, don't try to tell us that, there's a man, a woman, and something else. There's this third or fourth or fifth or sixth or seventh or eighth. You're not going to tell me that. You're not going to tell the American people that. You're not going to tell any honest scientist that. You are going to tell a bunch of scummy doctors that, who go along with it and actually participate in mutilating our children. But we know we got scummy doctors. We had to deal with them during the pandemic, didn't we? Know what this means? It means money. Unfortunately, it rules the world. It destroys lots of doctors, lots of lawyers, lots of politicians. But the Dodgers, allowing the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence to be honored on Pride Night. Now, beyond the fact that they're transgender, I'd like to encourage young children to take hormones and get mutilated before they're 18. They viciously attack the Catholic Church. They dress up as nuns that are nude. They dress up as nuns who are devils. They mock nuns. They mock Jesus. They mock Mary. They mock the Catholic Church in general. They are quite literally accepted by many as a hate group who engage in hate speech with regard to Catholics. Yes, there can be hate speech with regard to Catholics. There's no difference in hate speech directed at Muslims and hate speech directed at Catholics, except for people who are prejudiced. Christians and Catholics are entitled to the same protections as Muslims are. They should not be allowed to participate. And if they participate, nobody should go to the Dodger Stadium again until they apologize. If you have respect for the Christian religion or the Catholic religion, even if you're not Catholic, if you have respect for it. Can you imagine if they included a group of a guy playing Mohammed and then a group of people dressed up as his co-religionists, and during Pride Night, or Feminist Night, they were recreating the stoning of women by Muslims, or the fact that command still exists in the Quran, or the fact that there are Muslim groups in this world that this very day are still doing it. Yes. Suppose that was included in the I'm going to say the Brooklyn Dodgers, the Los Angeles Dodgers' disgusting attack on religion. What would happen?
Oh my goodness!
Either one of you want to? Let's just do the hypothetical. The Dodgers announce a night to celebrate feminism. all the gains women have made. And the Muslims want to participate. And they got a guy dressed up as Muhammad looking like an animal. And they got a bunch of Muslim men dressed up looking like devils. And they recreate an official stoning, which still happens in Muslim countries.
Mayor,
What would happen?
not even that. Let's say it's non-Muslims, right? It's non-Muslims showing up and they are dressed up as Muhammad, but making fun of him, right? Right.
Oh, like
The
saying
Sisters of
things that he
Perpetual
killed- that he
Indulgence.
killed a lot of people.
These are non-Catholics dressing up as
Dressing up
nuns, but
as
making
Muhammad and pointing out that in the Quran there are several examples of things that amount
Yeah.
to mass murder,
he'd be fired.
which were authorized and
Yeah.
directed by a general called Muhammad,
Yeah.
because he was a warrior in the second part of his life.
Mayor, I'm not
Or-
sure you
or
get a
pointing
picture.
out that Muhammad led by attack. He converted by he converted.
Those are true things you're saying about Muhammad. Those people are saying about nuns is not true or making fun of
No,
them.
of course
They're
not. I
ma-
mean,
the point
it also
Go
I
ahead.
know, but you're not allowed to say that it's true. What you just said, you're not allowed to say.
That not only
You have
that,
to make believe it's not true. You have to make believe that Muhammad was not, for part of his life, a mass murderer.
no, not only that, Mayor, the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, the name of this group, they're making fun of nuns, right? They're call it satire, whatever you want to call it. Imagine, as in your hypothetical, imagine if a Christian wanted to show up making fun of Muhammad, right? In your, as you said, the person would be ostracized on
Suppose
social
the
media.
Jew-
They'd be fired from
suppose
their
the Jew-
job. They'd be called a bigot.
Suppose the Jewish people wanted retribution for the Jewish village that he wiped out, because he wanted their very, very valuable vineyards
yeah.
that produced the best and the most profitable olive oil and olives in the Middle East. He attacked that village. He took control of it by doing a mass killing, and then he killed everyone who wouldn't pay him ransom. Suppose
That's right.
Do we know
Suppose the Jewish people asked for reparations.
if there are less people going to the games? Do we know?
We'd have to look.
This
into
is a
that.
very well kept censored item. It appears in the New York Post. I haven't even heard it on Fox.
Certain players are speaking out, actually, which
Well, so-
surprised me a little bit. Big star players. So
Well, I
that's
would hope
forcing
that
others to cover it now.
any player, and I'm just not just limiting this to Catholic or Christian players. I'm limiting it to any player who has respect for human rights would refuse to play that night.
And of course, Mayor, there's probably a large Catholic influence among the players. Many of these
One-third
players,
Los Angeles is Catholic, by the way.
and even Major League Baseball players, a lot of them coming from Latin America.
Well, that's
Sure.
why. I mean, 1/3 of Los Angeles is Roman Catholic,
Wow.
not just Christian.
Yeah.
It's Catholic.
Yeah.
And the Blessed Mother is particularly revered by Hispanic Catholics. Our Lady of Guadalupe. I mean, I can go on with all of the visitations that Our Lady made to Hispanic countries. I mean, or even to Portugal and Spain.
Why is it acceptable, Mayor, to in America today? Why is it acceptable to make fun of the Catholics or Christians? However, you're not allowed to make fun of or have any sort of humor or jokes towards Muslims or obviously the Jewish faith, but you could say other groups as well, right? Native Americans. You say the word
Because
Indian now,
I
and
think
you're,
that
you're
both Catholics and Christians were so dominant, they're so strong and so powerful that they became lax about it. Didn't feel they had to do it. They were the dominant group, and it almost seemed, I may be wrong about this, but it almost seemed like it was being a crybaby. You're so powerful, you can take a little criticism. But we're in a different era now. We're in an era in which God is under consistent attack, not just by the communists, but by the Democratic Party and the left. I mean, there was a time that the Democratic Convention, stopped saying a prayer at the beginning of the convention. They put a little meaningless prayer back. But I mean, the Democrat Party doesn't really wants to eliminate religion. I mean, Biden talks about being a Catholic, but he supports, killing babies up until the moment before they're born. And that you can look at Catholics and say, well, they can have two different positions, but it's hard to think of one that would have, and particularly one that didn't have that view for 45 years and then changed it in one night when he needed the support of the progressives. It tells you that he's a whore, right? Anybody changes their position of 45 years in one night is a complete prostitute. And I don't mean that. Well, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what I mean. What I mean is there isn't much you can call Joe Biden that he isn't, since he's the biggest crook sitting in the White House. And that's why this debate over this memo is kind of funny. It really is the tip of the iceberg. When you tell me you got a document showing a $5 million bribe to Biden, I'd say, yeah, well, you want to come and look at my hard drive? Gee, and who originally got that document? I wonder.
Mayor, will this force the media to maybe even revisit some of the previous? You don't think so? You're not.
Nothing's going to force the media to do anything. The media is totally corrupt. That's like
your response was very quick.
That's like forcing the Biden family to be honest. We're going to force the media to admit that for the last how many years they've been totally dishonest. Well, that they took Pulitzer Prizes for a lie.
You don't think so? This document comes. So Monday, Comer and I believe Raskin.
Since this document apparently comes from some very, very, at least up until now, very reliable source that has proven to be reliable in the past for the FBI, according to what I read, they're going to have to do something to change that history. And of course, the FBI under Comey and under Wray is capable of producing any fiction that it wants, because it's really not a law enforcement organization in the sense of one in a nation ruled by law. It's a law enforcement organization in a nation ruled by one party, which makes it a state police. I don't think the Stasi in East Germany would admit that they were wrong. Well, neither will the FBI. The FBI, top of the FBI has to be, well, the ones that commit crimes should be put in prison, and it should start with Comey and the guy there right now. And then the ones who cooperated with it either should be put in prison or fired, and they should start new from the top. I'd consider a new name too. I certainly consider a new name for the Democrat Party, which has been the party of slavery. And I don't think you can change any names without changing the name of the Democrat Party and not be a hypocrite.
Well, let's play our sponsor, and after that, we'll go to some calls.
Well, then I'll wait to confine my ears in this here. Faith and family, freedom and finance are four things that we would do anything to protect. I trust the team at Kirk Elliott, PhD, Private Advisors, with providing the advice and sound strategies to take advantage of the inflationary pressures, the high interest rates, and the international challenges we face today. The Kirk Elliott team, with over 29 years of experience, shares our values and believes in people over profit. They can help you protect your finances from the big government policies that are out of our control. So what's in our control? The decision to act or not to act is within our control. I encourage you to act. Call Kirk Elliott, PhD, Private Advisors today. Start working with a team that will help you protect your retirement assets with gold and silver while sharing your desire to protect your faith, family, and freedom. Call them today, 720-605-3900. That's 720-605-3900, and tell them Rudy sent you. Or simply fill out a request for a free consultation at kirkelliottphd.com/Rudy. That's how you get to him, and you will get a free consultation that will take a look at your financial situation. And what it will do is it will give you recommendations that you can or cannot follow about how to protect yourself with investments in silver or gold and the right way to transition if that's what you want to do. Of course, they'd be available to do it, or you can find someone else to do it. The real question is, do you need that kind of help? Well, you probably do because of inflation. And I would have to say, as an amateur economist, that my best guess is we're in for this for another year and a half. So if you haven't protected yourself, probably a good idea to do it. And or at least consider it. So go to KirkElliottPhD.com/Rudy. And the phone number is, Ted, do we have the phone number for him?
We do. We have the phone number on the screen.
For Getter people?
And for Getter as well. We're back on, of course, the air.
Well, thank you for coming back. And I hope
720.
I hope you heed the advice from me in the ad to make the telephone call. People who
720-605.
Get 720
605
605
3900.
3900. Okay, so make that call and you can have a more restful weekend and kind of know that you've at least got a plan for what Biden has in store for you, because you're going to get worse before it gets better.
And just by making the call, you're also supporting the mayor and everything we're doing here and our continued fight to uncover the truth and deliver to you the news that you won't find anywhere else. So please consider giving Kirk Elliott a call. It'll be a good decision. And if for any other reason, you're supporting what we're doing here.
Well, that's a very good idea. And also you can help us greatly expand what we're doing by joining Twitter and taking out a Twitter subscription.
28 subscribers. We're moving up.
You can do that just by going on Twitter. It's $10 a month. You will get extra content, and that will grow as the numbers grow. And it will grow to special features, special podcasts, and then special access in terms of telephone calls and communications, so that you can be part of our circle with which we plan things, as well as inform. You might hear some noise outside. I don't know if you do, but to my right, about 50 yards, is a group of doors, and the doors lead out to a patio, and the patio overlooks the outfield of the baseball field in Manchester, where the Manchester Fisher Cats play, and they are playing a game against the Reading Phils. The Fisher Cats are an AA affiliate of the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Phils, of course, of the Philadelphia Phillies. And it had been rather empty before, but now, Ted, look, there's a big crowd out there now.
Yeah, it appears.
So you can sit back here in the outfield and have dinner at the restaurant, the Hilton Garden Inn, and watch the game. But you can also sit in the stands and watch the game. But these people out here that I'm looking at,
Maybe we'll give them a look here.
Well, when you get a chance, you want me to take a phone call or two first, and then we'll.
The lines are open. Give us a call. Give us a call now.
Want to open the blinds and
you can zoom
give
the
him
camera. Get the camera over a little bit.
there. It's over there. Maybe we can take the camera.
Yeah, and I can show them a little bit, just by kind of going over.
I don't know if you can see the baseball. Last night, if you listened in, you saw the baseball field in the background. So that would be upstairs. That would be upstairs in the room. So I think you can get kind of a view of it, right?
Yeah, not much.
Yeah.
Not much.
Really, just the doors here. But a good, nice little view of the doors. We'll come back to you, Mayor.
But you can see the people sitting at their. You can see the people sitting at their tables having dinner or
a late dinner. Friday night at the ballpark.
You can sit there. You can sit there. You can sit there. We asked this question: how long could you sit there? You can sit there as long. You can sit there as there. People are looking in.
That's why I did this one and not that one, right? Thinking they're realizing who's in here, but there's a ball game. We want them to focus on the ball game. So
yeah, we don't want to interrupt the ball game. Right. and they are not honoring the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence or whatever the mock name is for whatever the mock name is for
The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, and of course, they're
the making
The point-
the mocking of the nuns. Look, here's the picture of Joe falling, and I want you to consider that although this picture was probably not in most American newspapers, because as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says, the Democratic Party has a whole system with the newspapers of censorship. This was all over the world. This is what America looks like to the world. And this is one of numerous times that this man has done things like this. So there's been news of him falling 4 times. There's been news of him going to Cambodia and thinking he was in Colombia. There's been news of his when they see it as being in delusions of giving an award to his uncle 7 years after his uncle died, which he repeated like 4 times. He consistently says that his son died on the battlefield and his son died in a hospital bed. And he also has, and they make this, they use this very often in Australia and point out that he has actually recited several times that he saw Roosevelt reading the comics on television. And of course, Franklin Roosevelt was dead before there was television. Oh, I could go on.
Well, Mayor, let's take our first call. And of course,
Well, Mayor, let's take our first call. And of course, earlier you had asked, has anyone fallen up the stairs? So we're going to go to Mary in Georgia, who wanted to make a comment regarding your the question of the day. Mary, you're on with the mayor.
Oh,
Hi, Mary.
hey. Hi.
How are you,
It's
Mary?
Good. It's such an honor to talk to you in person. I just want to thank you for your
Well, thank you.
all that you're doing. Yeah, it makes us out here feel more comfortable having somebody with you out there supporting us.
Well, tell us what you'd like to say, Mary.
I had called because you had mentioned somebody, or if anybody had fallen going upstairs, and
Yes.
I have.
You have.
I have, and I'll tell you what happens. I went to a concert, and I have a bad knee. So if you're going upstairs and you have a weak knee, then you cannot lift your knee up over that stair. So, and I think with Biden, he's had surgery on that right ankle, and you saw it kind of like it's not able to lift it up over the stair.
Okay. Well,
So therefore you trip.
that's a reasonable explanation of that one. I
Yeah.
had an operation on my knee, a very bad one because all 4 ligaments were split, and
Oh,
I was
gosh,
really
yeah.
laid up for 6 weeks and had to relearn how to walk up the stairs and down and
Yeah.
down and down the stairs. So I can understand how that happens. I don't criticize Biden for falling once or twice or 3 times
No,
or 4
exactly.
or 5
Well, yeah.
or
And
6.
the difference though,
My
the
the,
difference.
the thing that I find is he falls all the time, and he also doesn't know he
Exactly.
also doesn't know where he's going when he turns around. He turns
That's
around
right.
and he looks like what I see in nursing homes when I visit people in
Exactly.
nursing
You're
homes,
right.
and he talks like
And I'm a
people in
nurse.
nursing homes.
Yeah,
So-
I'm a nurse and I have taken care of geriatrics, but you're right. He doesn't, if you're a fall risk, you look ahead and you're cautious, where he's got his head in the clouds and just boom, you
Right.
know.
And how about the
So-
way he talks and the way he forgets?
Oh, it's so scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you, Mary, and thank you for letting us know that. I appreciate it very, and thank you for listening in.
Mary,
Oh,
real
you're
quick,
welcome.
if I may, just one question. We love asking. We get people from the different states. What's the Republican primary looking like in the state of Georgia?
Well, as far as I know, we're still definitely pro-Trump. I mean,
Good.
yeah, I don't see us. I think I'm all just saying for myself. I see I mean, DeSantis seems to be good with Florida, but he seems to be already influenced by others.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the call, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I guess I should have asked what you meant by others. I think she means probably the rhino part of the Republican Party, because an awful lot of the rhinos have fallen in with DeSantis, which is kind of crazy because DeSantis was a real conservative. It's a shame if the rhinos take him over. That can really ruin you. Look what it's done to Romney. Well, of course, I never, got to tell you truthfully, never really thought very much of Romney, but he was better than Obama, which is not saying much. Except, right? People used to say to me sometimes, "Oh, you'd have been a better president than Obama." And I said, and I would say, "Will you stop insulting me?
Yeah.
Please, if you could have said you'd be a better president than
Teddy Roosevelt, right?
yeah, or Ronald Reagan, or
Lincoln.
or even like Gerald Ford, or it doesn't have to be a great president, just a good one."
Ford's kind of looked at as a placeholder, right?
A lot of people look at Ford as what Biden really is. Well, I mean, they never looked at him as demented. They always looked at him as clumsy. He was clumsy.
He fell a few times.
Yeah, but not consistently, and he actually never fell going up the stairs. He actually, his big problem was hitting people with golf balls. And part of it because they stood too near. I never understood after he hit the first guy with a golf ball why you would want to stand near him when he was hitting a golf ball. I mean, golf balls can kill you.
Speaking of Chevy Chase, what are the odds that SNL makes fun of Joe Biden for falling?
Can I laugh in the next half hour? Why, do you think they believe in free speech or democracy or America? I mean, Lorne Michael was a friend of mine, and I doubt that he is a friend of mine now. I still have affection for Lorne, but they just caved in when Obama became. I mean, never made fun of Prince Obama. Really.
I was going to say,
Afraid to
SNL got awful
they,
during those years.
They proved their racism by being afraid to make fun of a black man.
And that's
If you're a racist, if you're not a racist, you make fun of everybody.
without thinking about
You
what
know,
race are they.
I mean, if you're a person does comedy, I'm not going to say you prove you're not a racist by making fun of everybody. If you do comedy and you leave out one group, the reason you're leaving out one group is because you know deep inside you're prejudiced against that group. The groups that you make fun of, you feel very confident you're not, and nobody's going to think you are. So when they deliberately avoid comedy about blacks, they're racist. Now, if they focus only on comedy about blacks, they're racist. But comedy should be guided by the Martin Luther King Jr. standard. It should be based on the character of your comedy and not the color of your skin, right? It should be the quality of your comedy. So you got a good joke about blacks, you tell it. A good joke about Italians, you tell it. You got a good joke about somebody else, you tell it. Unless it's vicious, crap. So what else, Ted?
Well, Mayor, we're getting a lot of comments, especially regarding what's happening with the FBI and Christopher Wray having to compelled to bring these key documents to
Imagine
Congress
the FBI
Monday.
director having to be compelled to bring a document. And again, I don't know. I know they say I somehow delivered this document or had a part in delivering it. Again, it could be any number. The answer to that is that could very well be true. But I delivered so many documents, and so many of them involve serious felonies on the part of Joe Biden, that to distinguish this document would be very perilous for me to do that, not knowing the stage of the investigation. So, but the real fact is, what the hell are they delivering this document now for, when apparently they've had it for 3 years and have done nothing with it? Now, since we don't know what's in this document, the documents regarding the guns, they've done nothing with it. And that's a straight out immediate arrest. So you don't have to tell me that FBI is allegedly corrupt at the top. The FBI is corrupt at the top. it stinks of corruption, and it is ruining our country. It's ruining one of the basic freedoms and one of the basic principles of a democratic country, of a country of laws. We're now a country of political factions, and the political faction in charge of the government is the regime, and the FBI serves the regime. In fact, they served the regime when it wasn't even the party of the country. So really, they're the Democrat state police.
Well, let's take one more call, Mayor. We have just a few minutes left. We have Nancy in Florida. Nancy, you're on with the mayor.
Nancy?
Yes.
So this is Rudy Giuliani. What would you like to talk
Hi.
about? How are you?
Oh, hi, Rudy. Hi, Rudy. I watch you guys all the time.
Well, thank you.
You said earlier that the Democrat Party can't change their name unless they change the party, right?
Well, I mean, they can change their name anytime they want, but
Right.
what they
But
really should
to
do
me-
is do both.
Right. To me, they've already changed that party. That party changed.
I agree.
They're not the Democrat Party that used to be anymore.
I mean, Robert Kennedy Jr. would tell you that. I don't have to tell you that, right?
Yeah.
there
So
are
we need to come up
Democrats-
with a name.
Yeah. Yesterday, I had Andy Stein on. Andy, it was a very prominent Democrat in New York City who ran for mayor at one time, who basically would tell you that the Democrat Party is no longer the Democrat Party. I mean, it's basically an anti-American party. And
Yeah.
it's changed. It's changed to be a party that is hostile to the basic formula of the American government and wants to change it. I mean, look at the things they want to do. They want to do it with the Supreme Court. They want to make us almost all dependent. They want to cave into China. They give up air bases right next to China. They're taking our military down slowly but surely. They've let China pass us as the largest navy in the world. They will do nothing about China's involvement in killing millions of people through spreading COVID. We elect a president who's gotten millions of dollars from China and don't never ask him a question about it. And
Yeah, well, this is a global thing. We know that.
even our Republicans don't ever ask him questions about it. I wouldn't sit a minute in the House or the Senate without every day saying, I demand him explaining how much money he got from China and what it was used for. He should not be sitting in that office one more day without explaining why he got all that money from China. And don't tell me,
I agree.
don't tell me you don't know about your son's foreign finances. There's a tape recording, liar, of you talking to him about it. It's on tape. It's on my podcast. If you want to hear it, I'll on Monday I'll give you the exact citation. You can hear Joe Biden talking and referring to the foreign business that he says he never talked about.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah, Chris, thank you so much for inviting me, and you guys have a great weekend.
You too. You have a great weekend also. Dear. You enjoy it.
Okay, thank
God bless you.
Bye-bye. You too. Bye.
Well,
That's great.
We have a great weekend coming up, I hope. God bless all of you. If you want to follow politics this weekend, the candidates are going to be all over New Hampshire and Iowa, which is a smart thing to do because those are the first two coming up. And we'll be back on Sunday with Dr. Maria on Uncovering the Truth. I'm going to do a I'm going to do a Father's Day special with Andrew Giuliani on WABC Radio on Sunday also. And then, of course, a podcast is coming out. The podcast is a very, very good analysis, if I do say so myself, of the pros and cons of the debt solution, the solution we had to the debt ceiling, which I think takes McCarthy off the hook a bit. And I don't agree with this criticism of McCarthy. I think he did not get a great victory, but he doesn't have great power. He got a greater victory than the level of power that he has. And he got some very, very good things and some good things. So go to rudygiulianics.com. I'd really appreciate it if you would do that. And let me know if you agree with me, because I can also see why you might not. I'm not angry at the Republicans who voted against it or for it. I think you have a right to disagree about that. And I like the way in which it was a bipartisan vote on both sides, because it does show when we get beyond the demented one and the communists around him in the White House, we still have in Congress people who can deal with policy, because they did here. Maybe people missed that because we're so divided. There's something good that came out of this. It doesn't have to do with Biden, and it doesn't have to do with even our presidential candidates here, who I guess are going to be locked in a war. But at the level of representatives, this was an old-fashioned, somewhat Reagan-like bargain. That's the way you govern, no matter what they tell you. I had to do it. Everybody has to do it. And you can be tremendously successful if you know how to do it. God bless you. God bless America. Don't forget Sunday on WABCRadio.com. Don't forget RudyGiulianiCS.com. Don't forget to go to Twitter and subscribe. We need you. And don't forget Kirk and mypillows.com/Rudy. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America. Our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply